Hello to viewers of this Champions Chess Tour, and I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams, bringing you your puzzle of the day. So we're going to have a look at an encounter between two French Grandmasters. We have Robert Fontaine with the white pieces and the inflammable MVL, Maxime, who at the moment is on course possibly to be challenging Magnus Carlsen for the World Championship match. Now, MVL is a brilliant calculator, and in this position, you can see he's trapping that white king in a nasty position. And he can now force checkmate through a series of very good moves. Now, can you see this rather long sequence? I'm making it a little bit trickier today. So again, look for moves that are all checks, all moves that create threats, that try to attack that poor little white king trapped over there. And remember, when you have three or more pieces attacking your opponent's king, it can often lead to checkmate. So these puzzles are over on Chessable if you want to check them out there. But otherwise, I will bring you a solution later on in the show. Good luck. Well, the solution is to under-promote the f-pawn to a knight check. A very nice move. This is the most aggressive move, and it forces that king up the board. The king comes up to f4, and now we keep checking that king. The rook goes here, check, and now white is in a very difficult situation. If the king goes to e5, well, it's checkmate next move with something like bishop d4 mate. So the king has to go to g5, and now the second, I would say, tricky part of this puzzle. We have to keep attacking that king, and there's a beautiful way to force checkmate. Bishop e3 check, fantastic, giving up the rook. The rook must be taken, there's nothing else that can be done. And now g5 check, and again, the king only has one square to go to. We keep checking that king. The king only has one square again, and now the pawn moves up, ambushing the king, checkmate. A fantastic finish from MVL, showing his real talent some years ago now, in 2007. Well, Garry Kasparov is a lot of people's favorite player, and a lot of people consider him the best ever player, which I think is entirely fair. Maybe Magnus Carlsen can catch Garry up at some point, but Garry dominated chess, winning everything for a period of 10 years plus. Every tournament he played in was his. Now, this is an important game from his World Championship match in 1985. A lot of people's favorite World Championship match, when they're asked what it is Bobby Fischer versus Boris Spassky in 1972, the famous match in Reykjavik, which they made a film out of. But my most favorite encounters were the Karpov-Kasparov encounters. Probably nearer my age. I was born in 79, and this was played in 85, and maybe when I started playing chess. My dad was really into the matches, and that came across in my love of the game. And they were legendary encounters. But this was really important, this game here, for helping Garry get the crown, which he thoroughly deserved. Now, it's black to play and win. And what sequence of moves should you now play as black to ensure a win in this position? And the cleanest win you can get without allowing any counterplay. Well, maybe the first move is the trickiest, Queen A7, because this is rather a hidden move. This is the kind of move which, it's easy to miss in actual fact. The queen sneaks onto this diagonal with a check, and really Karpov can only move his king into the corner. Had the king come to this square, there's a number of good moves, but one such move as knight e3 is good enough to win. When this knight can grab that one with check, be a little bit careful taking the queen because a rook takes e8. But after king h1 now, we now look for the forcing moves, and we can take on g2. And here you've got to now think about the best continuation. And if you stopped with knight e3 check, double check, well, this might be good enough to win, but it does allow a little bit of counterplay. For example, let's say the king moves, you take the queen, I can take this one, and here you can see the king's a little bit exposed, should be winning. Karpov, very practical player, didn't want to allow any of that, and he played knight d4 check. The point being, when the king moves this time, he can simply go a whole rook up, well, a piece up, should we say, with an ongoing attack. Lots of pieces up. Can I count? Let's count. Yes, lots of pieces up with an ongoing attack and no counterplay. And this is a very good technique. When you have a good position, one of the things that people really struggle with is converting advantages. And the biggest advice I give is if you've got a choice between two lines, one of them might even be favored by the computer, but it's complex. If there's a simple option, which is very, very, very good, keep the simple option. Don't overcomplicate in case you've missed something. Don't allow your opponent a sniffle of counterplay. Botvinnik was the father of the Soviet chess school. He really, with his approach to chess, his scientific approach coming from a scientific background, led to a big boom in Russia and led to many future world champions. Now, on his way to becoming world champion himself, he defeated such greats as Capablanca as he did in this game in 1938. And the tactic that he now uses was quite brilliant. And seeing it all the way through is very, very hard. But what you should be looking for here is really some forcing moves that create an opening against the black king. See how far you can calculate. It does go 11 moves deep, this one, the game, but just try as hard as you can. Now, remember, if you haven't got an immediate move, you need to force a problem in your opponent's position. And I'll give you a clue. The queen is defending the knight, and we want to do something about that here. Can you not just find the first move, but try to find a follow-up as well? Well, bishop to a3 is this brilliant distracting move, moving that queen away from its defense. Yes, we give up a piece, but now we're able to play the second blow, and the second blow is knight to h5 check, a beautiful move. And after pawn takes h5, the point should now be a little bit more clear. Queen g5 check, and then queen takes f6 check. The black queen has been moved away from its position, and the black king can't go to e8 because it would be checkmate on d7. So it has to go to g8, and now just simply e7. And even though this position, okay, it looks good for white, Botvinnik, and hopefully you as well, if you got this far, well done, had to calculate whether there was a perpetual check here, because it looks like there's a lot of checks against your king. So that's really the next stage of the calculation exercise here. Can your king escape the checks? Well, let's have a look. And you can pause again now if you want to try and work that one out. Obviously, the answer is yes, otherwise we wouldn't be here, but try to work it out, guys. Well, the king has to come forwards in order to escape the checks. And now the key thing is this move, king takes h5. There's only one more check, and now the king can come back, and now there's no pawn on h5. We can block it and eventually escape on h5. Black doesn't have any more good checks. Queen f8 checkmate's coming up next, and this is the end of a beautiful sequence of moves from Botvinnik. And if you got that far, you're doing incredibly well. Well done.